Nick Pope, how are you?
Fine, thanks.
Oh, you have an accent.
I'm a Brit.
I was going to say Alabama. I'm usually good with these things. Thank you so much for coming in here to talk a little bit about your role on XCOM, the Bureau, XCOM Declassified. First off, too many words in that title. That's my first tip. If you consult on that, tell them to cut some of the words out.
Okay, well, the Bureau will do it.
Okay, the Bureau. We're here to talk about the Bureau, one of the XCOM games. What? But you're not making the game. You're not one of these game designers, nerds, as I call them.
I worked for the British government. I ran their UFO project, so I did all the weird and wonderful things. So 2K asked me in to help do some publicity for the game. And
okay. And you're like, yeah, the British government pays I'll come.
Well, this is much more fun. But there are some nice tie-ins, that's the point. The Bureau speaks to these issues of not just alien invasion, but secrecy, questions like, could you cover up this if it was real? If you could cover it up, how would you cover it up? Why would you cover it up?
Okay.
So they asked me to come on.
So let's start at the top. Could you cover this up?
Yes, I think.
All right, now it's getting interesting, Nick.
I mean, people say these days you can't keep secrets. Of course you can. You know, it's the classic unknown unknowns. Governments keep secrets all the time. The atom bomb, that was kept secret until it went bang. But the fact that we got, during the Second World War, the Japanese codes, the Nazi codes, those were broken. We kept that secret for decades because some people were using the old code machines. Mm-hmm. We were reading everyone's mail for decades.
Just like now.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you said, first secret, could you? And then the second, how would you? How would you do this?
How would you keep a secret? One of the ways you would do it is if you really had like alien invasion, alien technology, discredit all the UFO people. So you have all these serious people, pilots, military guys saying, yeah, this is real, this is real. Send one person in a tinfoil hat and no one will take it seriously. So it's like disinformation.
Okay.
It's playing with people's minds.
You seem like you have a lot of experience in this.
I'm just speculating, of course.
Of course. How, for real, how much stuff can you not talk about? Do you have like a whole like binder full of things that are blacked out?
There are a few things like that. I signed the secrecy oath. It binds me for life. But the British government is in the process of declassifying and releasing its entire archive of UFO files. So there is more openness on this subject than there was a few years ago.
Okay. How did you ever get started in this? Just one day you're like, oh, that's interesting. I'll tell you, hey, Queen.
Well, just...
I don't know how the British government works.
It was just quite by accident. I'd been doing other things in the Ministry of Defence, and they said, we know that you're due for a new assignment. And I said, what? And they said, how would you like to do UFOs? And I'm like, you kidding? But they weren't. And I did that for 3 years, my job, to research and investigate the mystery. Most of the things turned out to be explained, some unexplained. So that was it. I fell into it by accident. I didn't believe in this stuff. I had no knowledge or interest in it.
Do you believe now?
Yes, I think in this vast, infinite universe, it's inconceivable that we're alone. Are we being visited? I don't know, but there are some intriguing cases, and that's why things like the Bureau are fun, because it kind of is almost like blast from the past for me, because the Ministry of Defence was an inherently secretive organisation. Uh-huh. The Bureau, same kind of thing. Throw a group of people together, set them to work on a problem. They started off working for the Cold War. You know, the real enemy was the Soviets. And then this thing happens with the aliens, and they're thrown into a totally different world. And kind of that's, I don't want to sound too melodramatic, but that's the life I lived.
Yeah.
And
I'm sorry, you're fascinating. You can just talk about the Yellow Pages. Let's go. Yeah. What's the craziest thing you ever saw? Or had to research, I guess?
It was a case where we had not just lights in the sky, but some people said a UFO actually landed. And it did. Military witnesses, and this thing had strange symbols on the side. But there was physical evidence too. There was a real science to this, because when the defense intelligence staff sent people to the landing site, radioactivity levels were like 7 or 8 times normal. All the insides of the trees facing the clearing where this thing had landed, they were all burnt and scorched, and there was radioactivity on the inside. It was really weird.
So did you explain it?
No.
No, that's one of the ones you couldn't do.
No, I mean, everyone's got their different theories. Some people think it really is extraterrestrial. Other people say time travelers from the future, beings from another dimension. Bottom line is we just don't know with a case like that.
What did you think it was?
No idea. Unknown, we had a saying, unknown means unknown. And I mean, it is like we told everyone, well, this thing was of no defense interest, but behind the scenes...
It was a weather balloon.
Yeah, swamp gas, fire lanterns. But behind the scenes, we were doing highly classified studies. It really was a sort of real-life XCOM.
So how do you bring that to the Bureau then? Are they giving you scenarios and you're like, oh, we would never react this way?
Well, I haven't been involved in the storylines and things, though I've seen some of them and they really are great. And I'm not just saying that, they really are. But my job is really to kind of come in and help do some interviews and just get people thinking about, people think of this as a fun game, but maybe parts of it are true or based on truth. And my job is to maybe bring some realism and say, look, governments all around the world have been looking at the idea that there might be life out there and we're being visited. And, secrecy, cover-ups. I mean, the whole idea of the Bureau, it's the one true origin of the XCOM universe. Uh-huh. This is going back how it all began. And like I say, it is really fun to do that. And I hope that I can bring a bit of realism, but make people say, what if? Just what if it's true?
So how long before we know for sure? Somebody has everyone's got the YouTube in their pocket now, right? It seems like that was the big thing. Growing up, I was really interested in this Bigfoot character.
Yes.
And then it was like all of a sudden everybody had a camera and like, oh, no more Bigfoot sightings are happening.
Well, that's the thing. There's an old saying, the believers only have to be right once. And something could happen today. It could be tomorrow, it could be next week. Or it may never come. But that's the thing. We don't know. But it could be any day. And you're quite right. In these days of like cell phones with cameras and videos, and we've got social networks and et cetera, the secret now maybe would get out a little easier than it did back in 1962 when the Bureau was set. It was a different world.
Okay. So, Men in Black, Independence Day, Signs. What is the most realistic alien movie out of those three?
Out of that, I don't know. Maybe, I hope it's E.T. because
he was a nice guy. He just wanted some Reese's Pieces.
It would be nice to have aliens come here not wanting to blow us to smithereens.
Yeah. Do you think that's what will happen?
I don't know. I went to a scientific conference once, and somebody used the phrase post-biological universe, and immortal thinking machines. And I thought, am I at a sci-fi convention or am I at the Royal Society? And it's hard to tell sometimes.
So you were excited to take this position, to
Yes.
to get on the Ministry of Defense or this department of it. Was there any were you laughed at? I watched a show called The X-Files.
Yes.
And nobody in the beginning, thank you, Greg Ellis. In the beginning, nobody believed in Mulder and what he was doing, and Scully wasn't super happy she was going there. But you were super psyched. Were the other guys all British and, oh, it's me, Kes McDonald, and I do like this. Kes McDonald works in the UK.
Well,
sounds just like that.
They called me, I know this is horrible, they called me the real Fox Mulder. At first, I kind of thought, hey, don't trivialize the government work that I do. But I came to think of it as fun. And sadly, I never had a Scully. But we were the real-life X-Files, and then somewhere out there's a picture of me next to David Duchovny at a film launch. So that's, life meets art meets life.
I'm sure your wife was thrilled there was no Scully.
Yeah.
That would have been awkward.
Yes, very.
So now, I mean, are you able to go to sleep at night anymore? Because this would be one of those covers waiting for the giant light to come in and get floated away.
Well, that hasn't happened yet, but who knows? Maybe. I've never actually seen one myself. This is the irony. I've investigated thousands of cases for the government, never seen a thing myself. But
okay. Well, you better just go cold now because you don't want them to. They'll get wind of you. One time I was writing this story for the newspaper about ticks and Lyme disease, and I had been doing it for 6 months, and then one day I was at my desk writing a tick on my arm.
Oh.
They knew what I was up to. They were coming for me. I got it off before it bit me. No Lyme disease, just cancer, and I'm okay. So, thank you very much. Nick Pope, when does The Bureau come out?
The Bureau comes out August 20th.
All right, well, I'm super excited. Thank you so much.
Thank you.